I'm black, I'm gay, I'm 27, I'm political. Just by my identity. Yeah. So you need to know that that person's not going to be racist. You need to know they're not going to be homophobic. There's a lot to cover within that.
And we all went out, had a real laugh, came back to mine, put the music on. As we were upstairs, the music just totally took a nosedive.
I've been on dates in someone's house and then their actual partner has walked into the room.
What happened to the music? You totally killed the vibe. It was his new music.
Oh my God. Oh my.
Look, I didn't sign up for a single bit
Oh my God.
Gay life is wild. So yeah, politics is important.
This is the Truth Flirts with me, Mel B, a brutally honest podcast all about the highs and lows of dating. This series is brought to you by dating app Badoo, the place to date honestly. Today we'll look at the subject of politics and the ways it can affect people's dating lives. I've got two guests with me who are sure to bring some interesting views to the table. First up, hello to Ben Hunte.
Thank you for having me.
Ben is a journalist and presenter and is the BBC's first LGBT correspondent reporting on LGBT affairs for all BBC News platforms. And I'm also joined by model, actress and former Strictly Come Dancing contestant, Daisy Lowe.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm going to get straight in. So in these political times, how important is political compatibility in dating to you?
Ooh. Go for it.
That's a big question. I mean, I think you've got to have the same views on that stuff because I think allow having those bedtime arguments, pillow talk, arguing about politics, I'm not there for.
What about you?
Well, I've been in a relationship for the past 2 years. So before I jumped into that, it was important to kind of talk about politics and kind of know where each other is on that playing field. It's necessary. Because, I mean, I'm black, I'm gay, I'm 27, I'm political just by my identity. Yeah. So you need to know that that person's not going to be racist. You need to know they're not going to be homophobic. There's a lot to cover within that. So, yeah, politics is important.
So from the get-go, would you have that conversation straight up?
Yeah, to the point I think you almost need to have an idea within like your bio about what kind of thing you are liking and what you're not liking, because otherwise, it's just going to lead to like awkward conversations over that dinner table, isn't it?
So dating in general, what are some of your worst stories, if you're willing to share?
So many.
Go on.
Go on, you can go on.
Go on.
And I was thinking about this. Well, this one's actually not that bad, but I went on a first date with a guy I'd known for a little while. He's a musician. And I actually ended up asking my friend and her boyfriend to come along. And we all went out, had a real laugh, came back to mine, put the music on, we're playing like 90s R&B and hip-hop, having a great time. It'll be blasting all night.
Love it.
And then my friend and I went upstairs for an outfit change to my dressing room, as you do. And as we were upstairs, the music just totally took a nosedive. And I called down the stairs and I went, what happened to the music? You totally killed the vibe. And
it was him.
It was his new music.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So he left without a kiss, and that was probably for the best.
That is an awkward situation. How do you recover from that apart from just laugh? That's
exactly.
what I would do.
No, I did. I literally just laughed, and then I was like, sorry, babe, it's just a very different vibe. I was really enjoying like the, Boys to Men and 112 that was on, and then it just totally switched.
That's a good one. How about you, Ben?
You know what? Gay life is wild. So there's quite a few. I've had occasions where I've been on dates in someone's house and then their actual partner has walked into the room and not realised this person was open. I was sat there for an entire conversation about why they should have an open relationship. Literally stood there whilst they were arguing about it. And I was just there like, look, I didn't sign up for a single bit of this.
Oh my God.
But it's like, I'm so nice. I genuinely just sat there and we're just like spectating. I'm just like literally tennis backwards and forwards.
Good point.
Wild.
That's also a good point too.
Yeah, but it's just like, gay dating is crazy. It really, really is. And
Wild West.
There's even been, oh my gosh, the whole body shaming aspect as well. So I had one guy who I was with, like first day, it kind of like proceeded to move on to like the next basis. And the guy said, oh, I really thought you're gonna have like better defined abs than you do.
What?
Yeah.
No, stop it. I've been body shamed on dates too. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and it's the expectation it's going to continue from there. Just like, well, what do I do with this information? Like, what do I do?
And he was being serious.
Yes, and I'm now making a BBC documentary based on that. So that's what I'm going to do with that information.
Good.
But no, it is things like that. They're so commonplace. I feel like the straight community is very much like guarded from that. But men versus men, it's wild. It's literally wild.
Well, you said you've had an experience of that too.
I split up with a boyfriend of mine because I hadn't been very well and I was on like annoying medication that made me put on a lot of weight, and we had been seeing each other for a while, but I knew at this point that it was definitely over. And he was in some bad mood, whatever. And I was like, you're in a really bad mood. I'm going to leave you in here. I'm going to go shower because you need to deal with you. Got in the shower, and because obviously he didn't like that I'd said that to him, he then came into the shower. So bearing in mind, like, I'm starkers, right? and showering, and he pointed at me and went, you're so disgusting, you need to lose weight so you can get more work. And I was like, do you know what? We're done. I was like, you and me, over, bye. I was like, I was like, do you think I ever want to get on top of you again? No, thank you.
No. But then don't you feel like you have to educate someone on why that is that bad? Because sometimes I think people say things and they don't realise what impact and what effect that has on another person.
Of course, but it's also that horrible thing of when someone says something really vile, because I think it was because he was actually really trying to stick a knife in, because he was feeling rubbish, so wanted to make me feel bad too. But it's like the shame of it afterwards, and he'd come back and go, I'm so sorry. It's like, well, don't say it in the first place. It's not. But as far as the education is concerned, I think it always speaks volumes about how that person's feeling about themselves.
So, yeah.
You know?
Good point. Okay.
I mean, there's so many funny dating stories. I've got so many.
How many dates have you been on?
Oh, God, far too many. Like, literally.
I don't think I've been on enough. I think I'm just...
But you've got to collect them. You've got to collect them. It's all about that. Like, I'll never forget, again, I was actually with my boyfriend at the time, but I had been out with two of my best mates, and my best mate's husband had made this really hot, spicy chili. And I didn't realise, but I can't eat really, really, really spicy food. And I came out in hives. It was so bad.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was really, really not very good. And I went to my boyfriend's house afterwards because I was like, please, can you help look after me? Like, I've had this allergic reaction. I bought antihistamine. And he was doing a play at the time where he had to get down to his pants. And he was like, don't give it to me. I was like, dude, it's an allergic reaction. Come on. He slept in full pajamas with mittens, socks. Woke up
Googling for him. Look, this is what it is.
Woke up every hour to switch on the lights to check that he hadn't caught it. I was like, dude, your ego is out of control. Like, I need to get out of this relationship.
Now, do you find it hard going on just dates, you and them, or it sounds like you do it in groups? Like
I've been on 3 dates in the past 2 months, and actually
one-on-one with somebody.
One-on-one.
Out. Publicly.
So I went on. I went for dinner with actually a guy I've known for a really long time, and that was just really nice. It just felt more like a catch up. And then I actually, an old mate of mine again asked me to go for coffee, and I thought it was just coffee, and then I got there and was like, "Ooh, this is a date? This is a coffee date.
Come on over for coffee."
Coffee. But actually, he was gorgeous. It was lovely to catch sight of him, and it was again just like catching up. He's an interesting man. And then actually, no, the third date I went on, actually, I did take 2 of my mates with me.
But I think that's a good, safe way to do it, because then it can just be like just having a night out with some friends.
And then we all went to a party afterwards, and then we went to a gig after that, and that felt really natural and normal. It was actually, and it was really funny. Like, I just absolutely pissed myself laughing for the whole night, which was great.
And what happened with that dude after?
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh,
so this is the most recent one then.
It's exciting.
No, it's all been a bit overlap because I was just like, I'm single. I'm not attaching myself to anyone or anything.
Like me.
And yeah, we'll see.
It's a good place to be, though.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Do you know what I realised about being single? It's like, I actually get to really appreciate the life I've built for myself. Like, I love my mates. My mates are amazing. My family are incredible. My work is finally moving into a place where I'm really proud of it. Like, my team are amazing around me. I love my home. Like, I love dancing and singing.
And your me time.
Me time. I love being on my own.
I do too. It's the best. I don't think enough people spend time alone.
Listening to music or dancing around, writing. Like, I love journaling, gratitude lists, meditation.
Gratitude lists are very important. I just did a really long one the other day.
Gratitude list. What's
gratitude. So every day, well, almost every day, I write a gratitude list where it just says, today I'm grateful for, and then just list
really good
everything, and it puts your energetic vibration into that space of gratitude. So then you start to see loads more things that you're grateful for, and who doesn't want that?
That is so beautiful. Yeah. Yes. Like, I need some of that, literally.
I'll buy you a book.
Thank you.
Where's everyone stand on Brexit? Because I find it, for me personally, I find it very confusing.
Yeah, it is really confusing. But also, I think there's so many underhanded things that are happening, and that idea of no deal Brexit. I'm like, what do you mean? We're not going to be able to get any avocados? Or I know that's a really small, ridiculous thing. Or like, I'm not able to just travel or work in Europe. And actually, as a continent, we are part of Europe. And I voted to stay, but and obviously was devastated when we were going to leave. But then I was like, oh, but maybe it's okay. Like, maybe we'll just be like, maybe all that money that they told us was going to go back into the NHS and all of that stuff. There was positives, but it was actually like they told us to vote for something that they had no idea how to handle.
Exactly.
And now we're stuck in this position. And actually part of the Extinction Rebellion thing that was really funny is the head of Extinction Rebellion, Tamsin, was saying, well, yeah, we're marching outside the Houses of Parliament, so we might stop Brexit from happening because the politicians won't be able to get into work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes, let's support the rebellion and stop this from happening.
Now, how political are you when it comes to your social media? Do you put it all out there? So it's just out there anyway?
I'm a big fan. Like, I'm really happy to be part of Extinction Rebellion and helping with climate change and being a lot more conscious on the planet. I mean, look, I still love water from a bottle. I'm like, I use a filter, but when I'm out and if I'm thirsty, I'm going to buy a plastic bottle, and I hate that. But I am trying, but ultimately, like, on my social media, I post loads of stuff about climate change. I'm sure people don't like it sometimes, but I'd rather present that. Yeah, exactly.
So how involved are you with that?
Well, so actually, weirdly, a really old mate of mine from when I was a teenager helped set up Extinction Rebellion. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and she's extraordinary. She's called Tamsin Almond. And so about 6 months ago, she was like, right, we've got the rebellion going. It is global. What can you do with us? And so tonight I'm hosting a dinner for them. There's like no press involved. It's literally just about getting a bunch of my wonderful friends who have good connections in the industry and like people have positions of power, like either work at great magazines or PR companies or are in the public eye, and just have Tamsin explain to them what they're actually doing, because the rebellion starts and it's going to be going for 2 weeks to however many months they have to stand outside Houses of Parliament so that things actually get changed from a government level. Yeah, it's just about spreading the message, really.
It is, and it's about talking and educating people, I think.
And so it's not so frightening as well, because I think it is such a frightening topic and people are so scared that the world's going to end, but actually we can help. There is hope, and it's actually much more about the government changing policies than it is about us not buying a bottle of water.
So back to politics. Yeah. Would you put who you voted for on your bio?
I wouldn't.
That's a bad idea.
I wouldn't myself, because I think that everyone's entitled to their own individual opinion, and I'm not about pushing politics on anyone. Good. But I think it's a case of, and also for me, really, at this point, I'm like, who the hell are we supposed to vote for?
Exactly.
Like, what's going on?
Exactly.
And actually, I like having help from people who I think are really smart and getting advice of other people, so I wouldn't go, yeah, I'm voting for ? Help.
How about you, Ben?
Well, I don't even think it makes that much of a difference to your identity. I mean, like you said, things are so weird at the moment with politics that even as before I became like a BBC correspondent, I obviously had a view on politics. Now I can't really talk about like political affiliations because I don't technically have any. I'm supposed to be like an impartial, neutral person. But like I said, my identity is political. Being black, being gay, it's all politics. I didn't grow up here. I was living in Asia for 4 years. It's literally all politics. Everything comes down to politics. So I think just by kind of alluding to who you are in your bio, you are kind of giving a lean in to which side you're talking about, especially with like climate change. The minute you're woke about climate change, obviously you're leaning a certain type of way. Yeah, of course. So yeah, I think it does, I wouldn't outwardly say exactly who I'm voting for, but like you said, I don't know who we're voting for anyway, so.
Now this is an interesting question. Do you think apps have got more racist since Brexit?
Have they got? I mean, I haven't been using apps personally before I like out myself and get dumped on air. But no, I don't know. From people that I speak to that are using the dating apps, I think racism has kind of switched now. You've got to a point where people are now being fetishized. Say a white man will want to be with like a black girl for certain things about her identity, but particularly to do with her race. So maybe she'll be like, maybe he'll be like, I really want to be with a black girl because of like they've all got big lips or they've all got big bums or something like that. So you're being fetishized because people want you because of your race. It is, yeah. So but it's a different side of racism. It's not like I don't want to be with a black girl, that's it, cut off kind of thing. It's more of a weird. It's weirdly
but it's
inclusive.
really creepy.
It's quite creepy.
I've never had a type ever in my entire life, and people with fetishes. I mean, go for your life. People obviously like what they like and get turned on. Exactly, of course. But I think when it becomes really specific, like I'm just going to zone in on just this, you're like, well, you're cutting yourself off from every other opportunity, and actually you might have had a really good connection with someone if you just hadn't been so closed-minded. Either way, with racism or being fetishized, that's kind of both sides of the coin, right?
Yeah, I feel like people just have found their voice, especially through social media. I mean, I'm sure both of you get atted just as much as I do of like all kind of shade and hate and whatever else. And
I do a lot.
Yeah,
That's why I like blocking people.
You have to. Yeah. To the point I don't even scroll through social media much anymore because it's just like, oh, that's hate.
I also love a delete of a comment.
Doesn't it feel so powerful?
It's like, yeah, you aren't on there anymore, mate.
Now, we've all heard stories of the leave vote breaking up relationships, but is it really the number one deal breaker or not?
I don't know if I could date someone who wanted to leave, now that I think about it. I mean, I'm single. I've been single for not that long, but like getting back on the dating scene at the minute. And it's... Now I've been going on a few dates with, some lovely people. And it's just nice to be taken out for dinner. And it is. It's quite fun. And actually, while I go on these dates, I might have to start asking, because actually I wouldn't want to be with someone who just wanted to leave our great...
So that would make you not go on a date with them?
Yeah. It would be a deal breaker, I think, for me.
But it's quite generational though, isn't it? I think it's like, isn't it like older people are more likely to have voted leave than younger people. So I think it's, it depends what kind of bubble you're in, but then that's even blessed to be getting to the relationship stage, because most of my friends, especially in the gay world, can't even find people to go on 2 dates or 3 dates with them, let alone be in a relationship. So I think it's, it's quite a blessed moment to be in a relationship to that point that you can even ask that question. So
a quarter of Badoo users said they would be less likely to date someone if they voted differently to them in the referendum.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
That doesn't surprise me, though, because it's quite a fundamental thing. And actually, I think when you're getting, especially like I was saying, I've been going on dates, and it's that thing of you sit across the table from someone and you're trying to work out if you have certain core similarities, like someone that you can feel at home with and comfortable and trust.
And views are really important, and opinions are very important.
And I think that's important as well, because Brexit isn't one thing, and it's always seen as like this one word and it's just one thing that affects everything. But actually, when you drill deep, Brexit affects every single part of your life. When you're looking at that view on Brexit is literally breaking into what you think about immigration. I'm first generation British. My family moved here from Guyana, and it's like there's so much that has happened that would not have happened if we were to split off or weren't to be kind of like united. So also, that opinion does change everything.
But also with talking about immigration, like that's what makes London like the best city in the world. We're so multicultural, and we wouldn't be if we stopped immigration. That's what makes the magic of London. It is the fact that everyone's from all over the world.
And now let's take a quick break to tell you about one of Badoo's features. Do you ever swipe past those profiles where someone's written absolutely nothing about themselves? Personally, I wouldn't match with anyone who's left their page blank, because you've got nothing to chat about and potentially nothing in common. Thankfully, dating app Badoo have a jam-packed About You section to fill out. That way, everyone's profiles are full of hobbies, habits, pet hates and passions, which might lead you to a better match. Would you, Daisy, consider yourself a feminist?
Yes. I just really love women.
Me too.
And I just really want women to be happy. I want
successful.
Yeah, and successful and thrive. And I love surrounding myself with incredible women that all hold each other up. I'm so sick of... If I say anything bad about someone, I'd happily say it to their face. I'm not a bitch. I'm like, what you see is what you get. If I don't like you, I just won't give you that much time. Do you know, like... Good. But I'm not going to badmouth anyone. And I think it's really important. I think when I sort of started modelling and I used to do a lot of nude shoots, everyone's like, you're not feminist because you're taking your clothes off. I was like, no, actually, I really appreciate the female form and I want everyone to feel comfortable in their own bodies. We've all got one. And actually flipping it on its head.
Yeah. Do you think that dating apps are anti-feminist?
No, I don't. I think dating apps are in the eye of the beholder. Like, ultimately, if someone wants to be anti-feminism, they will spread that horrible energy wherever they go. But if someone wants to be a feminist and they, I think it's also about gauging someone, about if you're going on your dating app and someone's sending you pictures and wants you to send naked pictures of you like that, it's about gauging it and going, do I want to protect my femininity or do I want to give this away? And if you want to give it away, go for your life. Like, you fully support that too. But it's more of a case, I think, of the individual. It's nothing to do with the dating apps. That's just a platform for it. But judgment, man, just allow it. Look after yourself.
I was going to say that, actually, yeah. Cancel culture is real, and I find it fascinating that... Cancel culture? Cancel culture, the idea of cancelling people. So if they kind of, mess up, or if you don't like what they're doing and you just cancel them, so you kind of, cancel them on social media, you'll be outwardly speaking about them in a negative way, and you'll basically just cancel them. But I did a story the other day about... women's safe spaces. So there's a nightclub, it's called Lick Events, and they put on these night events for women to kind of be there and live their best lives. So there was 500 bisexual, straight, all different kinds of women having a great time. And obviously within my title, it says LGBT correspondent for the BBC. Mm-hmm. One of those is the L, lesbian, so I'm out there doing women's events and women's stories.
Is it just women there?
There were just women there. So I was the only man there. But obviously I was giving these marginalised women a voice and I was giving them a platform on the BBC to talk about this event.
Wicked.
The next day when I posted that story, it was just how dare you come to this event? How dare you be there? Why would they not send a woman? It's well, boo, this is a man actively trying to reach out. Yeah.
Did you put that in your response? Did you respond back?
I did, yeah.
Good.
Usually I don't actually at people, but on this I was just you know what? If I'm going to try and get cancelled by a big group of women, then I actually want to speak about it because this is on one side you've got so many people shouting for acceptance, for equality, to be listened to be platformed, and then when someone actually wants to do that and engage with it, being cancelled for it. It's just well, would you have preferred that I didn't do it?
No, it's
would
ridiculous.
you prefer that I didn't go to the event?
I saw a great quote on Instagram yesterday that I think it's an Abraham Hicks quote, and it just says, what you think of me is none of my business.
Ooh, I like that.
I do like that. I'm going to use that.
I love that.
I'm going to freaking use that.
It's so brilliant, but it's so true. Everyone's just got their own story. Nothing's actually personal. Those people are just getting mad because they're mad about their own stuff. It's nothing to do with you. They're just using you as a platform to spit at and spit their poison
at. And using social media as a platform to have their opinions.
And that's what's negative, but also great about social media is you can turn around and go, but this is my opinion back. Yeah, exactly. Just so you know, mate.
Would you date someone who has conflicting views on abortion?
I'm going to sit back and sip some tea.
Would I wouldn't be able to date someone that had conflicting ideas about abortion, no.
No, I don't think I would either.
Because every woman's right to do whatever they do, and ultimately there are a lot of very unwanted kids in the world that need a whole lot of love, and the planet is overpopulated enough. Why should we bring unwanted kids into the world? It's just but also if you are against abortion, go for your life. But I think that abortions are really important, and thank God.
It's important to be able to have the choice and not be made to feel shame in any way because of your decision.
And it's a heartbreaking decision to make.
It really is.
And I'm really grateful that I had the choice growing up.
Yeah.
I really am.
But give me some straight education. At what point would you kind of have that conversation about someone's views on abortion? When do you know that?
Well, you have to decide an abortion within a certain amount of time.
But I mean, when would you actually know that your partner, for instance, say you've been in a relationship for 6 months, and then you're just having to I don't know, it happens on the news or something, and you're just oh, what are your views on abortion?
Is I think if they're opinionated enough, it would come up pretty early if they're that opinionated about
true.
it.
But those secret squirrels, though. No, you're in trouble.
You never told me.
I mean, the only time that it's ever come up in my relationship was when I did get pregnant and did need to make the choice, and I chose to have one. So it wasn't until crunch time, and I ended up staying with him for years afterwards anyway. But
so he was supportive?
He was supportive until when I was in there, and I actually had to go to the clinic, he was working. It was just heartbreaking. My grandma had to take me, and he called me when I was having the scan, and I was like, there's a healthy heartbeat, and he said, you've got to keep it, we've got to keep it, let's do this. I was like, you fucking kidding me? and I was like, I can't. I was like,
That's already an emotional roller coaster right there. Jesus, if you're not already on one.
And I was 21, and I was like, I've got my whole career ahead of me, and I want to do this. I really want to be a mum, but I'm not ready to do this yet. And so I went ahead with it, and it was heartbreaking. But I'm so grateful that I didn't have that baby, because we didn't stay together, and I would have sacrificed a whole lot of stuff, and I wouldn't have been the best mum then either.
Right.
I'm still a kid myself.
Kid having a kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Would you ever date a vegan? Because there's only certain places that you can go.
Yeah, I'd date a vegan for sure. I think that then actually political views come alongside veganism as well. It's like looking after the planet and taking care of that stuff. And it's being conscious as well. And that's really important to me. I do love food and I love cooking, and I'd have to adjust. I mean, I try and be vegetarian 90% of the time anyway.
So that wouldn't be that much of a jump for you to do. No.
I do love eggs and I do love cheese though.
That's going to be a challenge, isn't it? That's quite the challenge.
How about you? I know you're already in a 2-year relationship.
Yes.
Back on the dating scene.
But before that, I mean, I studied in Malaysia, so I was living in Asia for 4 years, and then I moved back to the UK. And when I did, I was actually vegetarian at the time. But I found that when I was dating, it was almost impossible to be vegetarian and go on gay dates. I found it so difficult.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like being so picky on dates isn't a good thing. Okay. And it immediately meant that we couldn't make quick decisions about where we wanted to go for like a quick hookup meal or something. So I didn't like please.
No full English. Nah.
But I didn't like being so picky. I hated it. And at one point I did try to be vegan. It was also really expensive. And I hated that. When I was a freelance journalist, when I first moved back, it was so tough to go to cost-effective vegan places that were also nice and decent and kind of fancy.
But now at least it's a little bit more, you've got vegan restaurants, vegan
it's much
sections
better
in
now,
supermarkets, much, much better. So let's talk about religion. Are you religious?
Ooh, am I religious? I feel like I probably used to be. Yeah.
In what concept?
My parents went to church a lot, and as a result, I went to church a lot. In fact, the one time I tried to get out of not going to church, or get out of going to church, my dad ripped the door off of my bedroom. Literally, where you could hear drilling was occurring to take the door off of the hinges in order to drag me to church, and literally in pajamas, crying and screaming in church, going down the aisle. But it's that. So my parents were really, really Christian. But then as I kind of found my identity and branched out a bit, I don't know. I'm not sure. I've covered a few stories about religion and what that means to be LGBT within that space, and I think it's something I want to explore more. It would be nice to believe in something. Yeah. It would be nice.
How about you?
Well, so I've always really believed in a power greater than us.
So more spiritual.
Very my mum's very spiritual, but my mum's mum is Jewish, and their whole family are Jewish, but my mum sort of disowned any religion when she was a kid and said she wasn't having a bat mitzvah, and that she was the youngest child, and it was quite a big break also that she was only 12 when she decided to walk away from it. And then as a kid, I went to a Catholic school as my primary school, just because it was a good school, it was up the road from us. And so when I started, I had to go to church every Friday, and at that point I said, Grandma, can I go to Saturday school and learn about Judaism too, because I wanted to understand. Good. And so I did it for a year to just sort of work it out. And there's so many lovely parts of the Jewish religion, the fact that it's really family focused and great food.
Really good food.
Really good food. The food is good.
And
I really loved just spending time with my family in that community feel to it, and it really honours the woman. I think when it's a lot more liberal anyway, and as the matriarch of the family, the fact that it's passed down through the mother. And so I've always just been on the periphery of it. I'll go to Jewish holidays with my grandma because she likes having me there. And I'm very close to her. But I don't practice at all. And so for me, actually, as I got older, I was I'm much more spiritual. I love meditating and I love praying. And I think it's really important to have belief. I think that faith is a really important part of everyday life.
Now, if the other person that you were about to go on a date with or dating dating was heavily religious, would that sway you in any way in continuing?
Oh, that's hit me really deep, actually. You just atted me because in some of my previous relationships, I've been with like guys that were Muslim, whose parents didn't approve of them being gay, and as a result have tried to like end our relationship.
Wow.
It's on that level, and I think the minute you add like the LGBT into it, it kind of like changes the whole perspective. With religion, I think before I met Tom, it was important to me to kind of know where people were sat within like the religious spectrum, but then also what their family was like and how religious they actually were. Because if you are literally following the scripture, then you're not going to be supportive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's such a tricky one as well. When families don't support your relationship, it is so heartbreaking, soul-destroying.
And it can be a pain when you know that they're trying to actively break you up also.
Of course. I mean, for me, I think obviously it's very different because I'm heterosexual, but I think religion coming into it with people that I'm dating, if someone was really heavily religious, it would just be a case of how does this actually affect your life, and is this a positive or is this a negative? Is it something that restricts you, or is it something that kind of helps you blossom?
On that point, what about the sex after marriage? Would that hinder you in any way to continue dating somebody? So I do think this is a really interesting. It is a really interesting.
Topic. And I've been watching Jane the Virgin, which is hilarious. It's a brilliant series on Netflix. Seen that. It's really funny. So she's.
But this is from way back. Jane the Virgin.
I think it's just finished. They did 5 seasons, but she saved herself for marriage, but ended up getting artificially inseminated in the first episode. I'm not giving anything away.
Not too much. Just the whole season.
No, it's just that's literally how it starts. But I think I've never come across anyone that wanted to save themselves for marriage. I mean, I think if someone wanted to do that and I fell in love with them as a human, I think that's a really lovely thing. I
think it's a lovely thing. There's something kind of romantic about it. But then, say you marry them and then it comes to dumbing the do and it's just off. You're like, why didn't I check this out beforehand?
Try before you buy, babes.
Yeah. I'd have lots and lots of questions before that.
Yeah,
lots and lots of questions.
But I also think, as I said, I'm recently single and going on these dates, and I have a very wonderful therapist who I love so dearly. She's really saved my life. But she was saying to me, I really feel like you've never really truly understood intimacy, because
that's interesting.
My first relationship was really confusing. I was only 15 till 17, and he was an interesting character. And so intimacy for me has always been really confusing. And my way of combating that was whoever I was dating, it was always like, right, we're going to be together forever and that's it. And I'd just jump in head first and not learn to trust someone. And actually sex is a physical manifestation of intimacy. And so it's really interesting going on these dates at the minute, because I'm like, I have to learn to pace this and learn how to trust you and meet you on a cerebral level. And you have to want to have sex with my mind first.
Yeah, but that's good that you're aware of it and you're going into these dates with an open mind, but also very protective of yourselves. I think that's really important when it comes to dating.
And that awareness is really powerful, actually.
Yeah, I've been single now for nearly 3 years. And I've been on a few dates, but I was married for 10 years before that.
Yeah, so you wanted a break.
Nightmare. More than a break. But I'm now kind of getting more and more into the accepting, like, that this is what you need to do to meet people and understand them and organically connect also. But it's really scary. I do think the dating world is really scary. That's why I think dating apps can be really, really helpful.
Definitely.
Really, really helpful.
But I also think it takes some of the fear factor out of it, because you're like, it's that, I'm going to check you out on here first. It's a little bit disconnected. I'm not having to go on a drink with you immediately.
I kind of like that, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't mean to.
Yeah, good. And on that note, thank you, Daisy. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to you for today. It's been so lovely meeting you and so lovely to see you.
So that's all we've got time for. I want to say a huge thank you to Ben Hunte and Daisy Lowe for joining me today. And to you, listener, please do subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcast fix. And if you like what you heard, then leave us a review. Join the conversation by following @Badoo UK on Instagram, and don't forget to download the app, where there's a world of honest daters waiting for you.